Dear Commissioner Sinkevičius, dear Lauren, dear Duncan, and dear participants of our Blue Economy Initiative. My name is Paul Linartz, and I'm the director of the US office of the German Konrad Adenauer Stiftung based in Washington, DC. Our organization, among many tasks, works in the international public policy arena. Our focus here in the US is particular to strengthen the transatlantic relationship. We are happy and grateful to partner with the Wilson Center's Global Europe program to create a joint transatlantic blue economy initiative. The term blue economy has been used in different ways. A comprehensive World Bank report defines the blue economy, quote, as comprising the range of economic sectors and related policies that together determine whether the use of oceanic resources is sustainable. An important challenge of the blue economy is thus to understand and better manage the many aspects of oceanic sustainability, ranging from sustainable fisheries to ecosystem health to pollution. This requires collaboration across nation states and across the public-private sectors. In the United States, as well as in the European Union, the governments have started to implement blue economy programs on the national, regional, and local level. The challenge is vary in each country, of course, and there are different tools needed for maritime industries such as fisheries, transport, and tourism. We hope that our transatlantic blue economy initiative is a contribution to enable key decision makers and policymakers in the United States and in the European Union to collaborate and to work on concrete initiatives by sharing best practices as well as lessons learned from both successful and failed policies with regard to the blue economy. We are very honored that you, Commissioner Sinkevičius, help us today to launch this initiative with your vision of the blue economy. Thank you for your contribution. And with this, I'm giving the virtual microphone to Dr. Duncan Wood from the Wilson Center. Thank you very much again.
Thanks, Paul. It's great to be able to partner with you on this project, not just this particular conversation, but a series of dialogues that we're going to be having about the blue economy. It's a delight to be able to partner, of course, with the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, an institution that's done so much to promote international understanding and cooperation over the years. I look forward to this and future collaborations, and in particular to focus on transatlantic cooperation on such an important issue in today's world. Big shout out to Lauren, who's with us, who will be conducting the conversation with the Commissioner. But let me just say a couple of things about Commissioner Sinkevičius. I've looked through your bio, Mr. Commissioner. It's an impressive breadth and depth of issues related to the economy that you've dealt with, economy and innovation, obviously environment, oceans and fisheries, the economics of the parliament, farming, regulatory affairs, airports. I mean, your resume reads like the resume of somebody who's probably 60 or 70 years old, but you're clearly not that old, and you've done an extraordinary job. That breadth of knowledge, I think, is incredibly important when you come to a position like this. But most important for me was when I looked at your resume and I saw that you studied your undergraduate degree at Aberystwyth University in Wales, which is a place that's very dear to my heart. It's a beautiful part of the world. And of course, most importantly, Aberystwyth for many years had the highest density of pubs in the United Kingdom. And that's a place I'm sure you had a good time, although you didn't overindulge. It's a great pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you so much for your thoughts, and looking forward to the conversation that is coming up. Over to you, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Duncan. It is really an honor to be introducing Commissioner Virginijus Sinkevičius. Commissioner Sinkevičius is the EU Commissioner for Environment, Fisheries and Oceans, arguably one of the most important positions in the EU today, from ensuring that the environment, oceans and fisheries remain at the core of the European Green Deal, to promoting international ocean governance and plastic-free oceans, addressing IUU fishing, and leading a circular economy action plan. The work that the Commissioner and his team are leading is not critical just to Europe's future, but to our collective and shared future. And if that wasn't enough, one of Commissioner Sinkevičius' responsibilities has been to develop a new approach for a sustainable blue economy that draws on research, maritime spatial planning, marine renewable energy, blue investment, and regional cooperation. In a press statement announcing the blue economy approach, the commissioner noted that the pandemic has hit the marine economy sectors in different but profound ways. He said, we have an opportunity to start afresh, and we want to make sure that the recovery shifts the focus from mere exploitation to sustainability and resilience. Thus, to be truly green, we must also think blue. This is absolutely true. Today, we're delighted to welcome Commissioner Sinkevičius to the Wilson Center to share more about the EU's new approach to a sustainable blue economy. Over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And of course, good evening to everyone. And thank you for the invitation to speak about the blue economy, a topic that's very important for me, for my portfolio. I think overall a very important, which has a lot of untapped potential. And it nicely blends the two legs of my portfolio: environment from one part, and oceans and fisheries from the other. Also, the timing of this discussion is perfect, because as you introduced well a few months ago, the Commission has adopted its new approach to the sustainable blue economy, which sets out our vision for the future of the sector, a promising future, if you ask me. But before we go into it, let me briefly set the context. From the very first days of our mandate, the marching order for this Commission was clear: the European Green Deal, which is rooted in our international commitments such as Agenda 2030 and the Paris Agreement, inspires everything we do. It's our mantra because we know it will guide us through the stormy period ahead of us, stormy in the literal sense, which with catastrophic events caused by climate change, wreaking havoc, as we have seen in Germany and many other places in Europe just this summer. But stormy also in the figurative sense, as today governance structures, business models, and social contracts are no longer able to meet the needs of our 21st century society. So what the European Green Deal does is to prepare us for a big transformation. I know that word has been used over and over again, and I admit it's starting to sounding hollow, but here it's really the word I am looking for, because we do need to transform our economy, to move away from a one-dimensional model obsessed with growth, which often considers impact on the environment and people as externalities or cost, and surely the health and well-being of our planet and people can't be externalities. They should be at the heart of what we do. We need to transform from a linear, extractive, and ultimately depleting production model to a circular one, where companies minimize inputs and strive for carbon neutrality already from the design phase, not as an afterthought to polish their corporate social responsibility reports. And we need to transform to a society that leaves no one behind by creating jobs with purpose and by investing in skills for the future. And all of that is the context in which I see our blue economy thrive, because I'm convinced that we won't be able to achieve climate neutrality or any of the European Green Deal objectives without the ocean dimension. Just think about it. To become carbon neutral by 2050, we need clean and renewable energy. Offshore wind, wave or tidal energy can deliver that. We are world leaders in those technologies, and let's exploit that strength. So the question is not whether we should beef up investments in maritime renewables or not. The question is how fast can we go? Food is also a case in point. To reduce the environmental footprint of our food system, we need to find low impact foods and feeds. But here is a paradox. We are known across the world for the strict environmental standards of our high quality food, yet the EU imports 65% of our seafood. The growth potential for organic, multi-trophic, and other sustainable aquaculture is manifest. And this includes in invertebrates like sea cucumbers or algae, which are already on the menu of other continents for centuries. Our aim must be to develop and diversify aquaculture production in the EU so that it becomes not only a global reference in terms of sustainability, but also a sector trusted and preferred by European consumers, a competitive and also resilient sector. And together with the Blue Economy strategy, the Commission has therefore adopted new strategic guidelines for EU aquaculture that show the path in that direction. In addition, we will also strengthen the ecosystem approach to fisheries to make sure that we can also keep on enjoying delicious food from wild catches without having to worry about depleting marine natural resources. Third example, plastics. We all know the source of plastic pollution. 8 million tons of it disappear into the ocean every year to stay there for hundreds of years, polluting marine habitats and killing sea life. At the same time, the solution can come from the ocean itself. Already today, blue bioeconomy companies are producing biodegradable plastic from algae or even fish waste, and there is so much innovation going on in the sector. And that's probably the beauty of it. If we invest in the sustainability of the blue economy, we also invest in the recovery of Europe, because the blue economy is often highly technological, highly driven by innovation, and we can transform maritime transport with innovative zero emission vessels. A lot of EU-funded projects are ongoing in this area. We can let ports become green hubs, not just for transport, but also for renewable energy, for the digital economy, for industrial supply chains. All of them strong drivers of growth and jobs. For things like clean energy or food to be produced, one primal need is obvious: space. And space on the Earth is finite, so we need to manage it better. Sectors need to work together so that whenever they use marine space, they make the most of it, and they must coexist, create synergies, and at the same time preserve biodiversity and nature. And the example of offshore wind and fisheries comes to mind, but there are many others. Our new Blue Forum will help all users of the sea do just that, resolve conflicts and develop synergies. Maritime spatial planning will be more important than ever. A second clear need is for better scientific knowledge of the sea and for marine data. This may sound a bit technical, but the impact of comprehensive ocean data for policymaking is immense. Next year, the Commission will launch a new initiative on ocean observation. We are also going to extend the Copernicus Marine Service. This will make more ocean data available for better monitoring, forecasting, and governance. And finally, of course, we cannot neglect to invest in people, and through partnerships with maritime industries and vocational training institutes, we of course want to train the workforce of the future blue economy and teach them new skills so that the many innovative enterprises won't face shortages of qualified personnel. And even before they get to vocational training, students need to be made aware of ocean issues. So the European network of blue schools will bring the matter of ocean health into the classroom. And because women are still underrepresented in some areas, we'll publish a call to support women in the blue economy. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I was talking about the bright future of the blue economy, I cannot neglect to pause for a second and circle back to the pandemic. And after all, it's dominating our lives for more than 18 months now. And our latest data suggests that the sectors most severely hit in 2020 were all the established sectors, with the exception of marine renewable energy, where the impact was medium. Unsurprisingly, coastal areas and small islands were hit the hardest by travel restrictions. In this situation of hardship, you may wonder who is going to pay for the transition to sustainability. Should we focus and stream our resources on recovery first? And that would be a fair question, because we need massive investment. But I have a good news. The Commission released today one of the main novelties of the research program Horizon Europe, the EU mission. And the mission concerning ocean health is called Restore Our Ocean and Waters by 2030. And the name is self-explanatory. It will support the European Green Deal and our objectives to restore ecosystems and biodiversity, fight pollution, and make the blue economy carbon neutral and circular. We also have the European structural and investment funds and the post-COVID recovery and resilience facility. What the EU member states need to do is channel the recovery and resilience plans and operational programs between now and 2027 in the direction of sustainability. And many coastal states have been doing just that. Belgium, Cyprus, Greece, France, Italy, Poland, of course, Portugal and Spain are planning sizable blue economy investments for a total of over 10.3 billion euro or 1.5% of the total recovery and resilience budget. In terms of private capital, our Blue Invest platform already assists small companies in turning their ideas into marketable products and services. We will expand our Blue Invest Equity Fund, which combines public money with private venture capital. We also agreed with the European Investment Bank to intensify our cooperation and de-risk initial investments that tackle pollution in rivers and seas, or are geared towards the blue economy and blue innovation. So the money is there to make the transition work. Allow me to conclude by moving briefly from the European to the international level, because after all, many of our blue economy markets and value chains are global. Many of our companies exposed to international competition. So there is a double challenge. We need to make sure that there are no unsustainable products and practices in the EU market, just like we need to ensure a level playing field for EU businesses in the global marketplace. We have a duty to promote the EU's expertise, the EU's environmental action, and our rule of law. And that's why the Commission will continue to lay the conditions for a sustainable blue economy at global level. We will continue to push for science-based management of ocean natural resources, including fisheries, in all regional fisheries management organizations. We will continue to improve fisheries governance and help partner countries through international cooperation and agreements. And we will continue combat illegal fishing and fraud in seafood products. We'll keep working with the UN on the high seas, with UNESCO on global maritime spatial planning, and on ocean literacy, and with FAO on responsible food and aquaculture. In her recent State of the Union, President von der Leyen insisted on this European leading role by announcing a joint communication on international ocean governance in her letter of intent to the co-legislators. So in the end, the question is simple. Do we want a flourishing economy that works for people and is in sync with the needs of our planet, not just now, but for many generations to come? If so, we have your answer, and it's called the Green Deal. It's our master plan to transform the European economy, and it's a landmark in the international scene, showing all other countries and companies that we are serious. And as you know, there can't be green without blue. If we manage to put the blue economy on a sustainable path, it will not just help us reach the Green Deal's objective. It will become a front of action and ideas, a hotbed of innovation, and a source of fast and lasting recovery for Europe. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's really a pretty incredible approach and very comprehensive, and brings in a number of critical topics that you very articulately laid out. So thank you for that. You mentioned a number of connections between the Europeans, the blue economy strategy and international efforts. I wonder if you, recognizing that we're sitting here at the Wilson Center, if you could take a minute to comment on what the EU's new blue economy approach means for EU-US relations. And if you see a connection there, I think in terms of especially if like the initiative you mentioned on ocean observation, if there's sort of scientific engagement and cooperation, and obviously the specific industries and business cooperation as well.
So the Commission's new approach for a sustainable blue economy mobilizes all our policies and and all our tools. We want to unite all actors and sectors, of course, around that single vision, and we would like all blue economy players to align themselves to do the same principle. And with this new approach, we are firmly embedding the blue economy in the European Green Deal's objectives: carbon neutrality, zero pollution, circular economy, restoring our biodiversity and ecosystems. And this means that we have a lot to do together. The US is a key partner and ally, and we count on US for promoting a sustainable blue economy. For the European Union, it of course cannot stop at our borders. Many blue economy value chains are global and exposed to global competition, and EU operators do business all over the world. So our responsibility lays on not only in defending the EU's market from unsustainable products or practices, but also in ensuring a level playing field for EU businesses in the global marketplace, and in promoting the EU expertise, environmental action, and of course, rule of law. And in line with the International Ocean Governance Agenda from 2016, and with the legal framework established by the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, we will continue creating the conditions for a sustainable blue economy internationally by pushing for science-based management of ocean natural resources, including fisheries, by promoting sustainable fishing in regional fisheries management organizations, by continuing to fight illegal fishing and combat fraud in seafood products under our highest EU regulations, by improving fisheries governance in partner countries and help develop local economies. So we will update the International Ocean Governance Agenda next year, as announced by the President of the European Commission at the Ocean Race Summit last June. And of course, we look forward to working with the US, setting the course for a sustainable blue planet.
That's great, thank you. You know, you mentioned the focus on plastic pollution, and obviously one of the best known challenges facing our oceans and marine ecosystems is that of plastic pollution. And you know, the blue economy strategy has a focus on switching to a circular economy and reducing that pollution. I wonder if you could take a moment to expand a bit on this aspect of the strategy. You know, since the vast majority of marine plastic pollution originates on land, it's an interesting component of the strategy that helps bridge what's going on land to how we care for our seas. So if you would take just a minute to expand on.
Very good. I just actually returned from NGOs organized event on beating plastic pollution straight into this discussion. So it really connects well and shows that it's a matter of priority for us. So Phil, first of all, probably I would like to reassure you that I'm well aware of the serious impacts that plastic pollution is causing on marine and coastal life, on ecosystems, but also in our streets and parks. If nothing changes, the total amount of plastic that ends up in our oceans could triple by 2040 to 29 million tons per year. So we cannot let that happen. Second, plastics are here to stay, so we cannot do without them. They are essential as packaging to secure our food. They are part of medical devices that saves lives, and they are part of the mobile phones that we all use. So it's clear we must act differently. We must rethink our relationship to plastics, and we have everything to gain from that. So the circular economy, by changing the way we produce and consume, gives us the direction we need. More circularity in the plastics change and prevention as the cornerstone of our action. With this in mind, we have already launched several initiatives. We have overarching plastic strategy, including many actions to improve the circular use of plastics, making them recyclable by design, increasing their collection and recycling, and taking care of an increased uptake of these recycled plastics in new products. But of course, we cannot fool ourselves that we're going to somehow magically recycle our way out of this challenge. We have the directive on single-use plastics to reduce the impact of the top 10 plastics products. So basically cutting the pollution at source. Examples of actions are the banning of plastic plates and cutlery to replace them by more sustainable alternative. And we have packaging, which is using more than 40% of plastics. Member states need to meet increased plastic packaging recycling targets 50% by 2025 and 55% by 2030. And currently, we're reviewing the packaging and packaging waste directive to ensure that all plastic packaging in the EU market is either reusable or recyclable by 2030. And we'll also tackle over-packaging and the continued growth of packaging waste. We will provide for measures that will lead to more reuse of packaging. And in the future, we'll also address microplastic pollution, be it intentionally added to products such as in cosmetics or paints, or intentionally released into the environment, such as microplastics coming from tires or synthetic textiles. So recycled materials are the best alternative feedstock that we have. With the single-use plastics directive, we have set mandatory targets for the use of recycled plastics and products, 25% for PET, single-use bottles by 2025, and 30% for all plastic single-use bottles by 2030. So we aim to propose mandatory targets for recycling plastics in other packaging applications, vehicles and construction products. And lastly, we are also working with our partners globally to set up an ambitious international agreement on plastic. So there is a lot to be done. We will be working closely with all stakeholders because moving to a circular economy is an inclusive process and it needs buy-in from all sides. We have one huge advantage on our side. People, they want change. People want change to happen and actually as soon as possible. And we all want a different plastics economy. And when enough people want something, that's a massive lever. And of course, we intend to use it.
It's a great answer, and really looking forward to hearing more about a global agreement and the efforts towards that. Duncan, I'm sorry, I'm being greedy. I'll hand it over to you.
No, thank you. It's the perfect setup for what I was going to ask, actually, Commissioner, which is, these are global problems. They require global solutions. Obviously, we're very interested in the prospects for transatlantic cooperation between the United States and the European Union. But there's another essential actor out there, of course, that we can't forget, and that's China. I wonder if you could give us your thoughts on the prospects for global agreements on many of these issues, fisheries, plastics, etc., including China.
So, you know that China adopted their single-use plastic ban, and they actually adopted it very quickly, and it was implemented actually way quicker than we did, because we set 3 years transitional period for which we discussed all the materials, all the nuances, and given enough time for businesses to adjust. In China, it was let's say enforced very quickly, so it gives a potential scope for cooperation. Then when we speak about the global agreements on plastics, soon the time of truth in EUUS 5.2, we are aiming and reaching such agreement, and of course we calling for broader and broader coalition. And it will be China's moment to, of course, join as well. That would facilitate sort of a global approach, because at the moment that's the biggest issue. I think that we all sort of fighting the same enemy, but on our regional, on our own territories, rather than uniting those forces, because we all acknowledge that this is an issue. And I think so the global agreement will be a really breakthrough in this manner.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Back to you, Lauren.
I think, Commissioner, one of the things that you mentioned was sort of this effort to help transform the economy, help shift the economy away from this obsession with growth and thinking more sustainably about the sort of the economic growth paired with stewardship of our environment and ensuring that people have the resources they need to live and access to jobs. Can you talk a little bit about what that shift looks like in practice, and if you've come up against any hurdles in moving forward, because that's a pretty revolutionary idea in some ways, right? And so, especially drawing from your background as a minister for economics, just thinking about what that shift looks like.
I think first of all, when we speak about the circular economy, it's very well received, and it has enormous untapped potential. So I don't really see obstacles here, only those the challenges that we create ourselves. For example, exporting waste. It's not that we get rid of the problem, but we also export any possible innovation. And in just a couple of weeks, we will propose I would say the most ambitious waste regulation on waste trade, so that the exports from EU of waste could happen only if the country that receives accept it and can prove that they will treat the waste accordingly and sustainably. So that will definitely, I think, give an additional stimulus for member states, but also for local actors to deal with their own waste, to build the capacity. And especially I think that recovery and resilience funds could be used for that. So that's already brings a lot of new potential jobs into a market. Secondly, as I said, it builds on innovation, and the circular economy potential is immense. We still have many sectors where it's still a very little innovation, still too little solutions which could help us to deal with that waste. For example, construction sector, which again has big potential, but we lack solutions. So far, I think it's been actually very well received by the industry. We of course have to deal with actors like chemicals industry, for example, where you have to make sure that there is no hazardous chemicals which prevents cycle from happen and so on. So there is an extensive work with the chemicals industry in replacing hazardous chemicals, in ensuring that they are not allowed on our market and so on. So there is huge work to be done. But so far, I think we've been moving quickly ahead, at least here in the European Union. But we should not forget that it's a global challenge. So we also have to help a third countries. We have to help our partners in building their capacity.
It's really wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Commissioner Sinkevičius, for taking the time to be with us today. It's really been amazing to hear sort of from your leadership position on this effort, and to get into some of the details. And we'll be looking forward to having you back to the Wilson Center to engage in this great project. Duncan, back over to you.
A very few quick words of thanks to Commissioner Sinkevičius. Wonderful to have you with us. Thank you for joining our dialogue. On behalf of the Wilson Center and the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, I know that Paul joins me in this. We want to say that this was an extraordinary insight into where the European Union is going, the prospects for future work. And I'd just like to make a personal and institutional commitment to you, Commissioner, that the Wilson Center is your home in Washington when you want to come and talk to us. We hope that will be an ongoing collaboration with the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. I can see from Paul's face that it will be. And we want to continue pushing these issues to raise public awareness, but also to provide impact in terms of the policy sphere. And so anything that we can do to help that cause, we're up for it. And especially to improve transatlantic understanding. Because in my opinion, as a European who has moved to the American continent, I believe very firmly that is the future. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the people who are watching this video recording. And please stay tuned to the Wilson Center for more programming on Europe, on transatlantic relations, and of course, on the blue economy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.